Hey everybody, happy summer. It is summer 2018 and we're here with some amazing HyperDoc experts. And we are not at ISTE as ISTE is happening right now in Chicago. We are all over the place in California, coming here from our summer adventures, having some iced tea over here. Lisa Highfield, Kelly Hilton. Best part of summer is hanging with friends and sitting in the sun. So everybody's going to introduce themselves first and say hello. Go ahead, Sarah.
Hi guys, Sarah Landis, not with my friends, but with you guys virtually. Super excited to not be at ISTE with you guys.
Awesome. Rocky.
Hey, in Napomo and holding my phone, so there you go.
Awesome. He's coming in from the phone. Very good. How about Nicole?
Hi guys, Nicole Beardsley. I'm at Beardsley Teach on Twitter. Literally just got home from camping maybe 45 minutes ago, and I'm watching my husband through the front window unpack everything as I'm sitting here talking about HyperDocs instead, which is what I'd rather be doing. So excited to be here. Thank you.
Glad you're here, Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Gardino, and I just spent some time with my grandchildren today, and I'm from Northern California too.
Fantastic. And Miss Carly Mora.
Hello, I'm Carly Mora, and I also just got home from camping this weekend a few hours ago, so I had a little bit more time to unpack, but it's been a fun weekend, and I'm excited to be here.
That's awesome. All these people are here because we're not at ISTE, but also it's summertime, and what do teachers do in the summertime? We still work. We still do PD. We go to conferences, or we are doing at-home PD in between managing kids and vacations and fun and all the balance. And all of us are coming from different places, just like you too. So if you did something fun today for summer, please plop that in the chat. We'd love to hear about your summer adventures as well. So today what we're going to do is play a little fun game called This or That with HyperDoc Designing. And we want to start with thinking about the HyperDoc lesson design template and how there's 7 steps to the lesson design template. And if you haven't seen it before, we're going to screen share it for a quick second, or you can find it at hyperdocs.co. And this is the premise of the HyperDoc handbook, where you can build your own HyperDoc, think about all the little choices and decisions that teachers make. And so there's 7 steps on this template, and we're going to play a little game of this or that regarding all the decisions that we make for each of those parts of a lesson design. So let's get started. You guys ready?
Yay.
Have some HyperDocs to be sharing, or a little bit, hopefully sharing new ideas as well. So let's start with the engage part of a HyperDoc. Usually in an engage part of a HyperDoc, you're thinking about how to engage students. You might link a video or an image or a quote or something or onto the lesson. So let me ask our HyperDoc expert panel here. When you design your engage part of your lesson, a lot of people like to include a GIF or a GIF. So first of all, how do you pronounce it? GIF or GIF?
Oh, no.
GIF, 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 GIF.
GIF.
I say GIF.
Sometimes I say GIF, GIF, just so I don't offend anybody.
I do the same thing. I'm like, it's GIF or GIF, and then I watch their reaction, and then I change it based on whatever they think.
I really don't even know what you guys are talking about.
So we have GIF, GIF from Nicole and Carly. Rocky, which one do you say?
I don't know. The
He's
funny little
changing it now.
pictures that move around.
Funny pictures that move around. How about you, Lisa?
I guess they say
What about you?
GIFs, but I think everybody else calls them GIFs. So it depends on how I'm feeling that day.
I usually say GIF, like in the peanut butter.
Like in peanut butter? Okay.
Usually.
You and Zoe want to weigh in?
Oh, well, I hear GIF is the way to go because apparently the guy who created them, he calls them GIF. But what do I know? I don't know if it's real or fake news.
Well, where do we get our news? Sometimes we can get the real answers here on YouTube. So let's see what he says, the guy who created. Let's see what he says. All right. Looks like it is going to Jeff, like the peanut butter. So if that is how you are pronouncing it, good for you. You are all in the know for your engagement strategies for your HyperDocs. Very nice. So moving on, let's think about the Explore section of a HyperDoc. After engaging students and getting them ready to learn the topic or the content, we typically build in opportunities for exploration. There's many ways to do that. So just want to poll the group. Would you say a text set or a thing link for your exploration?
Text set.
I text set for me too. Almost always text set.
Text set for me too. Thing link is blocked at my site, so.
If those are my only choices, I go with the text set, but it all depends.
It's a very Rocky answer.
It's this or that, Rocky.
It's this or that, Rocky.
Gotta choose. Says
I said I would pick text set if I had to pick between those two.
You had to, yeah.
If you had to, right? So it doesn't have to be a complete text set, right? It could just be a few, a mini text set embedded potentially. Sarah, what would you say?
I would probably go text set too, but sometimes one of my favorite things to do is just have kids explore one resource a couple of times. Almost do like a close explore. So like watch the video 3 times, like, I don't know, with a different lens.
Yeah, what about it? What about a video? What about an Ed Puzzle video?
Good one, good one. You know, I'm jotting in the chat right now, Rocky, it's always good to have a divergent thinker around. It's going to be like this, that, or Rocky's way.
We love that about Rocky.
Yes, we do.
I say whatever you can put in a Google slide will work.
Yeah,
Totally.
there is no one right way.
I like to take kids on a Google expedition for the Explore, and you can't put that in a slide, so it's a little.
Oh, nice.
There you go. So potentially would that part not be on your HyperDoc? That'd be like, today we're going to explore. And
Close your Chromebooks. Or now I heard you can do it on Chromebooks, so maybe you would.
maybe that's.
What about My Maps?
You could do that. Let's see. That could be part of a text set.
Oh, in our chat we have new Zella pre-curated text sets.
Nice.
No, that's good.
A good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, Common Lit has things like that too. They have related text. It all kind of is great to explore.
Yeah, and they have, you know, it's a video, a poem, and a text set. So that would be really cool.
I think it depends too how much time you have, and then if you're launching like one little topic, or if you're launching like a unit, you know, or a bigger concept. So all those decisions that go into it.
Yeah.
I started hyperdocking our adopted curriculum last year, so I was trying to get creative with the digital text from our curriculum so I wouldn't get in trouble for not using our curriculum, but still hyperdocking it to make it accessible. So a lot of my Explore was, you know, the text or whatever that came from the curriculum.
Oh, that's a great idea.
What about using Ryan O'Donnell's cutting up a picture and showing him it piece at a time to explore?
Yes.
Nice.
Tell people more about that, Rocky. Maybe they haven't seen that before.
So you take a piece of artwork, or a picture that may represent. This is all from Ryan O'Donnell, by the way. So I'm just reiterating what I learned from him. Picture for destiny picture, and maybe the kids haven't seen it yet, and you show them the picture in chunks, and you really design your entire lesson around that part of the exploration of that piece of artwork, and then get the kids to talk about it. So when you're finished, you've talked about manifest destiny through that piece of artwork in different pieces, and the kids get really intrigued because as you reveal it, you don't show the whole thing at once, you reveal different pieces of it at a time, and then partway through they start figuring out, oh, you're showing me different pieces, and so they want to see the whole thing at the end. So That's kind of a fun way to explore with your entire class. Or you could have them do it on their own. I guess you could take a video like an Ed puzzle thing and have it stop after each thing. Yeah.
Oh, after each section, have them stop and respond or something to what they're seeing.
Yeah, if you want them to do it independently, you could do it like that. Do a screencast of a video and then put it into Ed puzzle. Or it's kind of fun just to do it as an entire class and lead the class with that. And again, if you want an example of that, check out Ryan O'Donnell's Creative EdTech website, and he has some examples of all of that stuff.
We'll try to link that up so people can check out his website. I've seen that in action. That's
really
a really cool strategy. I'm glad you brought that up.
We were so lucky. He was in our district at the end of the school year, and he did that activity with our teachers. It's very cool.
Yes, shout out to Ryan O'Donnell. So another good strategy you just reminded me of with that is just Google searching, Google image searching, whatever the topic is, and then linking that up into your Explore so that students can just visually explore the images about the content first in order to build some visual background knowledge and get ready for the teaching part. So
I've also done that with the engage part too. Like I did it for sixth grade ancient civilizations, and we did Hinduism, and that was my engage, and it was a picture from showing reincarnation, basically like an artistic interpretation of it. And that was our launch. Our engage was to talk about what it was showing and maybe what it was gonna be covering, and that was really cool too.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Fun. So
And
many.
Kelly, I love how when you do that with quotes, and I've done that with quotes that represent certain things too.
Great ideas. So just have it all set up for them to explore that content area. Good. Very fun. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about engage and explore, but let's talk about the explain part of the HyperDoc, where you typically will put in your direct instruction. This can be done on the HyperDoc or in a blended environment within your classroom, but a couple strategies involve just inserting a YouTube video or a video tutorial, or creating your own teacher tutorial. So YouTube or screencast, creating your own. Which do you prefer, this or that, friends?
Definitely screencasting my own. I typically end up doing the YouTube. I don't get as narrow of a focus for what I typically want to teach. And a lot of times I'm having students actually do like mini tutorials, and it becomes somewhat of an explain.
So they will create one that will eventually become in your library for explaining future students, or
so it'll become this curated content that will be either for that class or in the future.
Great.
I agree with what Lisa said, that there's a lot on YouTube, but it's hard to find exactly what you're looking for on YouTube. So I find just screencasting my own thing is helpful. And then what's nice about it is you have it then, right? So next year, if you're going to do the same HyperDoc again, or if you're going to share it with your team, everybody can kind of use it. And it's funny because I'm out of the classroom this year. I was out of the classroom this year, but I had kids come up to me at school and say, "Oh, you're the one on the argument essay video," like recognize my name. So it makes you a little bit famous at your school when you have your own YouTube tutorial on how to write an argument essay.
That's good.
I use YouTube.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, if I can't find exactly what I want, I might use a few different videos and have them watch certain sections of it. Especially that with Google Slides, you can make it play at certain parts of it. So I can usually find what I need. And then if I can't, I can piece it together or just have them, close their Chromebooks and I'll tell them what I need them to see in addition to it.
Right. Carly, you bring up kind of a big game changer with Google Slides, right? When we were able to now insert a video, and then you can go to the edit the video mode and clip the part of the video that you want to share. That was a great feature that really helped change the use of those YouTube videos for students. What about you, Rocky and Sarah?
Lots of times I just put the written instructions in, or I use a GIF, or they'll get a podcast. I mean, it really depends on what it is, or I will actually give them the direct instruction. Most of the time I'm giving them the direct instruction, and then the other part is for a backup. And depending on the class, if it's one of those classes who doesn't really like to listen to direct instruction, then I let them read the instructions first, and then I give the direct instruction. So it just all, again, my answer is it all depends on the class and it depends on the lesson, but usually it's just a reiteration, whether it's a podcast or really just a instruction.
I've seen Rocky's his animated GIFs or GIFs, whatever you do, to give the instructions, the repeated, little video clips. Those are very cool.
Thanks.
And I think I just tend to use this as an opportunity to go old school, and I call it direct instruction, but I think a lot of times I like to pull the class together, bring them in, have a little like heart-to-heart moment, like here's the big idea of the lesson, or, just I do think it's critical to have that FaceTime sometimes. And so that's kind of like a nice point in the lesson where you can build that in. And I've actually seen a lot of other people designing HyperDocs where they have the explain portion is where they have kids explain to each other. So it's almost that like turn and teach, not from the teacher, but they have kids explaining to each other, especially after they just like spent a whole class period, let's say, exploring a content. Okay, now turn and explain a couple of new things, or, so I think just it's neat to see people reimagining even what instruction looks like. Yeah, so I think it's good FaceTime, either teacher to class or student to student, just thinking about.
It also, it makes the differentiation piece super easy when you can build that into, like you said, Sarah, that I found I can have students doing the explain part in a partner pair, but then I can pull a group of 6 students that really need that one-on-one teacher time, and we do that together. So I actually go through the HyperDoc with them, and we just kind of collaborate on that part. Because I feel like I need to build in pieces like that into my HyperDocs, because in middle school, I can't sustain them for the whole period of direct instruction when I really need to spend my time, with my kiddos who really, really need that one-on-one. And my other ones are fine, working together or in their little table 4 or something. So it's kind of nice because there's no one right way, right? And then each lesson you're doing, you might do something totally different if you're doing it for one subject versus another. It's just so versatile in how you can be a designer.
Absolutely.
Okay, so in the chat, Pam, hi Pam.
Hi, Pam.
She was saying that parents love to see you in your videos too, which is a really great point.
I was going to say, like, one of the best explained strategies too, like this is a cheat that I did in the classroom when I taught math. I would open up Edu Creation and teach on the whiteboard and record my own teaching part. And then you can later on link that up. So it's just that live lesson. But if you're not, hey, we have a friend visiting. It's summer. We got kids around everywhere. How exciting. Anyways, recording your own lesson, Pam, I think is a great strategy. Or even consider just opening up your laptop and recording yourself with your iPad or your laptop or your iPhone. Those kids who aren't in class that day, they could access everything that you taught. If it ends up being like a direct instruction guided by the teacher type of day, then you have it, right?
Yep.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so let's get to the fun part, because the apply part of a HyperDoc is where we're really like transforming the learning for students. And we're thinking of different ways of using, asking students to show what they've learned, what they know. And in the apply, it really requires that they synthesize the information, and they have all these ways now of showing their learning through the 4 C's: creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking. So we love our Google tools for collaboration, right? So when two of our favorite Google tools that you can create with and collaborate with are Google Draw and Google Slides. So what do you think? This or that, Google Draw or Google Slides?
Draw.
Yeah?
I like slides. I like the whole class slide deck, and then everybody copies and pastes their slide into the slide deck. That works for me.
Tell us more about why you like Draw.
I like Google Drawings because it keeps them all in one spot. They're going to a separate place to do it. They can download it as a PNG and put it into a slide if you want to have them all share. They can upload it to some other, like a Padlet or something if you want them to share it that way. But I feel like it kind of moves them out of the slide, which is like the explaining piece, and then it moves them to a different app to get them to create. So it's just a different environment. Just like, I don't know, it's almost like getting up and walking around the classroom when you need like a change of space, right? Or a change of state. So they move to a different place and then they're creating in that. I know it's that the tools are very similar, but to me, I really like Google Drawing.
Yeah. Cool.
I just posted in our chat. I wonder if that draw versus slides debate kind of depends on what grade level you teach. You know, like it's possible that maybe you like working with slides if you work with older kids because there's more freedom, where the draw can kind of contain the options a little bit for kids. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Trying to bring some peace to our this or that, you know.
Well, there's no right or wrong. I think it does depend on the purpose, right? I love slides. I love the collaborative shared deck slides, but I've also created like a shared folder and had everyone make a copy within the folder for individual drawings and allowed them to explore drawings within the folder and see each other's work that way and give comments and feedback too. So it just depends on the purpose. I think that there's a lot more, I have full disclosure, that drawings can do that I don't know about. Because I have seen what some people do in Google Draw that is really cool with shading and things. And so I think if I learn more about that, I think that might become more of a favorite tool too.
Mm-hmm. My use of slides is, I think, purely workflow in middle school, where I had 2 classes and having a space for 30 kids in one class to turn something in and then 30 in another class to turn in. And then I just had to kind of scroll through and look, and then they could scroll through and look at each other's as well. That was just something that I automatically thought of. I'm sure I could do something like that with Draw, but just knowing slides as my kind of default, that's where I hung out. So Carly's inspiring me to try Draw a little bit more, branch out. Because you're right, same as you, Kelly, there's a lot of features in Draw that it's more than just for drawing. You can actually make it.
I think though that you're right about the that workflow in slides is amazing. Lisa and I were just at Camp Plug and Play, and Tony Vincent shared the coolest trick. I'm gonna have to write it up. I'll post it in the Facebook group. And it's about how you can update your slides, so you don't have to give the kids everything on the HyperDoc at once. So you just give them like 2 slides, and then all they do is click update. And even if they've already made a copy of the slide deck, it updates their slide deck.
What?
I think it was so cool.
That's the craziest thing.
I know.
Yeah, it's really neat.
I want to see it in action. I need to like.
That's useful for those like 60 and 70 slide novel HyperDocs. You have to do it all at once, and then the mistake.
And something. They delete one slide, and you're like, no.
Yeah. So they can just keep clicking update, and it just updates even after they all have their own copy. It's so cool.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, the capabilities in these tools kind of answer these issues that we have as designers when we're designing these lessons. There's no one right way. So I love listening to you guys and hearing what you're doing.
That sounds like a really great trick. I hope that Google Classroom will do that eventually, where you can modify your template HyperDoc that's within the classroom after you.
I was going to say too, that's kind of what's cool about the Google tools is they're constantly upgrading them and making them better. You know, every time a new update comes out, it's just a matter of like hearing it you know, hearing it from somebody and then figuring it out. There's a lot, Google Classroom's got a lot of updates that they could do. And I'm sure they've got it in the works now. They see how usable it is, you know, for a lot of teachers and how it talks to the tool so well. So yeah, all those little Google updates just make HyperDocs that much better.
Well, they do look, if you have suggestions, put that, go down to that little question mark in the bottom left-hand corner. And
which I've done that before.
Uh-huh.
You're welcome for scheduled assignments in Google Classroom. That was all me, I'm sure.
Nice job. Shout out for Nicole.
No, I'm totally joking. Me and probably 5,000 other teachers telling them that. As I was walking to Spring Q, actually, and I forgot to post an assignment for my class that day, and I was walking to a session at Spring Q trying to push out an assignment. And then right after that, I that's the first time I ever submitted feedback to Google. Please put scheduled assignments.
Oh, yeah?
That's great. See? They listen. Very good. Okay, so some other fun applied tools are like our favorite, obviously. We're going to talk about Adobe Spark. But it has 3 features. It has posts, videos, and pages. So when you're thinking about having students design a post, they could create in Adobe Spark, or another one might be Canva. Just curious, from this expert group, which do you prefer when you're asking students to visually, graphically design something? Spark, Post, or Canva?
Adobe's been blocked at my district up until now. Yeah, Spark has anyway. So I tried Canva, and it was pretty cool.
Cool. Did your students use a template?
Yeah, I kind of gave them free reign to just try to do whatever. They liked the templates. I personally love Adobe Spark. I use Adobe Spark for all my stuff. So I am hoping that they'll add it for our kids to use. I think they're working on it. But most of the time, for any kind of apply, I just have them use a slide, and they just kind of get creative with their slide and do the same kind of thing with displaying their information. But I've used Canva 1 or 2 times, and it's nice to mix it up and not just use the same thing all the time too. So I vote Canva only by default.
All right, 1 vote for Canva. Any other opinions out there?
I haven't used either of those 2. I usually just use slides as well because it's there. I think of everything, it's the easiest and probably the most versatile, and then they have access to it. I mean, I think you can use it for everything. I try to, this was a session again I was talking about with Ryan O'Donnell. I try to learn as much new stuff as I can, but the toolbox I actually use, I try to narrow it down because I feel like sometimes there's so much stuff out there, and if I'm, not that I don't want to learn it, but I want to be an expert at it before I have the kids do it, and I don't want to just kind of learn, there's Spark. I'm not saying anything bad about Spark. I just haven't used it. If I don't have the time to delve into it, then I don't want to throw it at the kids. Just like, hey, Spark's cool, and you guys. But I try to give them options too. Like a lot of my kids will pick different things. Like they'll pick like PictoChart or all sorts of. If they have another platform they want to use, then I don't really care if they use it, as long as they can sign in and they know their technical way around it. So if a kid wanted to use Spark, when I have them make websites, I've had kids choose different platforms that aren't blocked. So my base is always slides, obviously. And then I kind of let the kids choose on their own what they want to use. And if I'm making something, I tend to just stick to slides and Google Sites, just because it's consistent and it's just what I do most of the time.
Yeah, it works. And I think it helps your students too, and they can see that consistency.
And I love that piece of letting kids choose, because like Rocky said, sometimes there's a tool out there that we aren't necessarily experts in using. And that's something that I try to tell teachers too, is you don't have to have 100% comfort zone with a tool. Let the kids kind of go check it out and explore it, which is kind of like what I did with Canva too. I just kind of said, go for it. Wild Wild West style, because they may find some cool feature that I've never explored and create something really neat. So it's kind of, that's part of the piece as well, is kind of loosening up the parameters for kids to be creative and find out cool new things that will be new to us too, right?
I'm curious to hear what Lisa thinks.
So we don't have Adobe Spark, but I'm hoping to next year, or Canva, but we do have a small handful of tools. We have WeVideo and Soundtrap, and of course those slides. So I do have a small toolbox that I kind of pick and pull depending on the purpose. And I try to give students a choice. And then the comic strip, I can't remember the name of it at the moment. I'm totally summer brain. Storybook. Yes, that's the one. So we have just a few, and I just kind of switch them in and out depending on the tool. But I try to get a video one in there of some sort, for sure.
Baby alert!
All right, you have a hold on. You got the baby. Hold on.
The whole fam is gonna crash this.
It is summer. We want to see doggies and babies, families. Hey, Betty, what's his name, Nicole?
This is Everett.
Hey, Everett.
Everett is the littlest HyperDocker. He has heard the HyperDoc conversation.
There's our little doggy friend. Look at
this other baby.
Rocky.
Who's that little guy, Rocky?
It's Nalu.
Okay, this or that, furry babies or human babies. They're both super adorable and high maintenance, and we love them.
Yeah, furry babies because you can leave them at home. You don't pay for childcare.
Right now, so I feel like I have to have a babysitter all the time. So fun. Yay.
I just wanted to chime in a little bit. I'm looking at the chat and just thinking about what my answer to that, this or that, would be in terms of Canva or Adobe Spark post. And I just think it's so funny because we do love introducing new tools to ourselves, and like we like certain things, but then everyone's kind of commenting too on just how important it is to come back to the tried and true, the oldies but goodies, like options within the G Suite or whatever. And I think part of us, like, we are overwhelmed as teachers. There's so much going on. And so it's like, okay, I just need to go back to what I know and love. But then also every once in a while we get bored and antsy and need something different too. But I was just thinking, Kelly and I did a presentation recently. We were kind of talking about how awesome it is to have that progression of tools for the kids. So like, some kids might just really need Google Draw because, you know, it has some basic features and the content that we're asking them to apply their learning on is harder. But then some could really, you know, level up, if you will, and try some of the more intricate, you know, web tools. And just how as teachers, when we're building a HyperDoc, sometimes it's maybe we put a choice of 3 and there's kind of like a beginning, intermediate, and advanced option for our learners to show what they know. Because like, I think like this math content was easy, so I'm going to try a harder tool. Or I might, this math concept was super hard, so I need an easier tool to show what I know.
I like that, Sarah. In my district, we've been doing learning targets this year too, and like student engaged rubricing and self-assessing. And that's a good way to tie it in is like, if this is something that you could teach the class, then you could try to, you know, do like a level this or whatever with your apply. Or if this is something that's you're still learning yourself, then this is something a little bit less intense, but you could still show what you know with it.
I think you could also
listener.
We're laughing at your adorable Everett just staring at over there.
Just chewing on.
Yeah, just listening. Rocky, you had a little friend another friend pop in for a second.
Yeah, that was little Jude. Or Big Jude now.
So like all the teacher babies and teacher kids, they're just like used to this. It's just part of their lives. Like, oh, we're talking about HyperDocs again. Like my 6-year-old could probably lead a lesson in HyperDocs at this point, I'm sure.
And you're coming in and out here. I keep looking at it, keeps sneaking in.
Right. Yeah, taking car keys. Yeah. Stuff like that. Like
my wallet.
we have like all this range happening in this group. It's awesome. Amazing.
And then Lisa got to play with her grandkids and then give them back.
Yes.
You win. Lisa wins.
Lisa.
They are the best. Wait,
Yeah.
just wait. I didn't realize that.
Oh, look at
Those are like hashtag goals. Give them back, right? We're not there yet. So many good points because the tool is not really relevant, but sometimes like there's going to be tools that you choose for certain reasons to offer to kids. And then I love how you guys brought up how they may have their own ideas. We talk about that all the time, but we try to really design the purpose in the HyperDoc and allow the tool to be secondary for that apply. I'm curious about, and I don't even want to ask this question because I know the answer actually, but thinking about our favorite speaking and listening tools, can anyone guess like what speaking and listening tools we might want to highlight as awesome apply pieces for HyperDocs?
Carly, do you have any ideas on this one? I
don't know.
Carly, let's talk about this.
There's this new one that just came out, right? Like,
just kidding. No, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you could use an app like Flipgrid to use as a for speaking and listening, especially if you use the rubric tool. That's all free now. Now that
It's amazing.
Flipgrid's totally free. It's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing that it's all free. So you can customize the rubric, which is a pretty awesome feature. And so you could use like Eric Palmer's TV legs rubric to assess their speaking and listening within a HyperDoc, or just, you know, at the end of a unit or beginning of a unit or midway through a unit. So yes, you could use Flipgrid.
Okay, so we know that there's Flipgrid fever, but for people who haven't dabbled in that tool yet, Carly, can you just tell them like why we love it so much, all the things that make it really a special, like there is no this or that really when it comes to speaking and listening. It really is Flipgrid. So what is the fever? Why is everybody so excited about it?
I think because it's so simple to use. So the students don't need an account. They just need the code, the Flipgrid code, and then the password to your grid. And then they can all respond. And then now they can all respond to each other within the app. And then there's so many different settings in the dashboard that you can apply to make it more private, so that you will you can make it active, you can make it inactive, you can make it frozen, and as the kids are applying, you can approve their videos so that if they, you know, as they come in, you can approve them for different reasons. And if the kids are shy, you can have those kids' videos not be featured right away. You can talk to the kids first and then make the videos active. So there's a whole bunch of features in the dashboard that I think are really useful to teachers that to make it work for your classroom. But I think the simplicity is why it's taken over. It's just so easy to use, and there's so many different applications. And of course, just like HyperDocs, people have taken it and run with it.
Yeah.
I think the most amazing thing is that it's free now, right? It's not just
totally free.
Yep.
It's totally free, like all the Google apps for everyone. It's amazing.
Yep. All free. And they're also, anybody that bought within the last year, they're reimbursing their so if you bought last month and paid $65, they're reimbursing you. They're prorating it. So
pretty quickly too. I heard they're like already refunding people.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're great. They're a great company, great group of guys, a great group of people, great group to work, you know, just to kind of work with. Very teacher friendly.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they really have listened to teachers, right? They built this tool for teachers. They've built a whole community, and they understand what problems they're trying to solve in the classroom, and they can use it. It also works on all kinds of devices, which
Yep. Device agnostic.
We have different devices in our classrooms. So thank you for giving that little shout out to that. So really, just because of time, let's just move forward a little bit with wrapping it up here. I do want you to think about one more question, and then we're going to talk about our book giveaway. But one more question is, towards the end of a HyperDoc, you like to build in time for reflection. Of course, you can use the Google doc with a table and reflect. You could have a face-to-face conversation, small group or whole group. But when it comes to choosing a good like embedded reflection, which tool do you prefer, this or that? Answer Garden or Socrative?
Neither. This, that, or neither. I use Google Forms. Like, back to like the G Suite. Google Forms. I use Google Forms. That's my kind of summative assessment or formative assessment. Depends on where we're at with the HyperDoc. But I don't always grade my kids' HyperDocs all the way through too. But I always look at the reflection piece because I feel like that's where I do my tweaking and tinkering and who I need to go back to or where I need to reteach again. So I find Google Forms just works best for me. Again, just back to basics. I've used Answer Garden for like the whole class thing before for everybody to see each other's responses. But when it comes down to when I want to know what kids got out of something or where I need to go back and reteach, Google Forms is where it's at. Do you agree? Yes.
Yeah. Right on cue. Right on cue. I love it. No, I think you're right. I mean, Forms is like the most like comprehensive way to really get specific reflection and feedback from your students. And Answer Garden and Socrative are more like collaborative, have a conversation, build up. What are the conversations?
I use Answer Garden for like the share piece, you know, like share out something or, you know, a whole class Google Doc for things like that. But when it comes to reflection, I want it also to be their own voice and not necessarily influenced by, you know, things they're seeing their classmates say. So neither. Google Forms is my answer.
There we go. We lost Rocky.
I know.
Now we
That was I took his place on that one. There you go.
every classroom.
I would say that I love Answer Garden for like a quick collective response from the group. Because I do think it's important to see, like, get the group thinking quickly, but then also I love that it still has the independent, individual, like, autonomous element. And then I don't know if this is just like the literacy. I love it for word choice because they can only say so many, you know, words that it really helps fine tune like, response. So I don't use it that often, but I think when I do, it's a great like go-to for quick thinking in the room, but then also appreciating everyone's differences as well. That's what I like about it.
All right. Anybody else want to weigh in on that?
I haven't used either, so
Yes.
sorry. Yes. I think I used Answer Garden like one time, but so I'm
rock and flip
gonna bow out on this one. Yeah, there we go. I'm just,
Rock and flip
just
grid.
yes. That would be my choice.
I've used both. They're probably neither are like my go-tos, but I've definitely used both.
Yeah, everything has its purpose.
I really like in Socrative how you can have students respond to like open-ended question and they can all see each other's responses because I think that helps them see and elevate their own response in that way. And then they can upvote within that tool, which I think is really, really neat. So that you as a teacher can see the trends and patterns as to how well they are responding and where your next teaching point might be. But also you might get higher quality work out of them when they see each other's responses as well. So basically there's so many different directions you can go, right? That's why this was about this or that. And teachers are making decisions every day. Now we finally get to see Zoe Girl as another special guest. There she is.
Hi, Zozo.
So it has been so fun because all these amazing educators are at ISTE working. Hi, Zoe.
Hi.
So we have all these amazing educators in Chicago, but we also have all these amazing educators across the country who are juggling families and traveling, and they're still on Twitter and learning and talking.
I love this.
And they're watching. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So we just feel it's like the teachers are the hardest working people in the country, I think. Anyways, we're gonna end our little fun event here today with a book draw. How are we gonna do this?
I don't know. We're gonna
have people, if you would like, because we're gonna give away a free book from someone who participated today in the chat. And so, if you would like a free copy of the HyperDoc Handbook, just tell us why you think you should get your free copy of the HyperDoc Handbook. We will look it over, we will DM you, and then we will put it in the mail for you. Also, for the rest of the next couple of days, as everything's happening in Chicago, we will be doing fun things for the next couple of days as well. So if you're following the hashtag NOTATISTE18, which I learned this morning, and also ISTE18, then also HyperDocs, then you can continue to see the things that we're all out there sharing. We have different events planned for each day. Coming soon, if you are new to HyperDocs and you want to learn more about them, or maybe you are winning the book in our free book giveaways, because we're giving one for this, but we're also giving a book out at all the sessions in Chicago, and we're going to be giving a book away each day. If you're new to HyperDocs, Lisa Highfield, Sarah Landis, and myself, Kelly Hilton, we all teach an online boot camp, which starts on July 9th. And if you go to hyperdocs.co, you can sign up for the online boot camp. The three of us will talk you through your book and how to make these decisions and how to create your own lessons in that way. And we hope to keep learning with you and playing with you and enjoying our summers and hearing all about it. Anybody want to?
It's been great. That has been really fun, guys. That's why I keep looking away, because I'm following this chat. And it's gone from the YouTube channel to Twitter. We appreciate all of you and the chatting that you do all the time on social media, or whether it be in the hallways with your teachers. Good lesson design. This makes us really happy. So thank you.
Well, we all learn from each other, and so everybody sharing their lessons and chiming in and bringing in their multiple perspectives is so helpful. So
I'm gathering names up right now.
Good. So we'll give the book away. We will make an announcement for whoever wins it so that you know. And a special thanks to all of our guests today: Carly Mora, Lisa Gardino, Nicole Beardsley, Rocky Loeb, Sarah Landis, Lisa Highfield, and everybody here. I don't know. Thank myself. There we go. Anyways, happy summer. We will see you again online or live. Have a good one.
Take care.